Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, it is with great pride and joy that today we have a special guest to be interviewed by Zoom, and that guest is Jennifer Gross, an Ohio State House representative who is sponsoring House Bill number 248. She's a rebel just like yours truly, and of course she has to fight an uphill battle, not because of the Democrats. Think about this. The Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the governorship in the state of Ohio. Will they or will they not pass House Bill number 248? We welcome to the show Jennifer Gross. Jennifer Gross, State Representative Jennifer Gross. I know you're in a car and you're mobile, and we appreciate doing this interview. Just be steady like a surgeon. But anyway, why don't you tell the American jury, as I like to call the public, who you are, what House Bill 248 is all about, and where it stands today.
All right. Thank you, Eric, so much for having me here. The gist of this bill is it's a freedom bill. I never knew that freedom went out of style, but you sponsor a bill like this and you start to wonder. This bill covers all Ohioans. It covers every worker. It covers every healthcare worker. It covers every student. It covers every parent. It covers every nursing home worker. Anybody you can imagine in Ohio, this bill provides freedom from forced mandatory vaccines. Not only does it do that, but it also prevents anyone from discriminating against you if you choose not to get a vaccine. So if you say, you know what, I had COVID, I don't need a vaccine, I'm not going to get it, I'm not wearing a mask. And you, my employer, don't get to make a decision to say, I need to wear a mask because I've already had the disease. What it does not do is it's not a personal fight against whether vaccines work or they don't work. It isn't a fight as to, do these vaccines make you magnetic? You know, if you think that they make you magnetic and you don't want to get a vaccine, don't get the vaccine. This protects your freedom to choose what you are going to do with your body, what goes in your body. Yesterday, Eric, we heard testimony from the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. And basically what they say is this: they believe that your business has the right to decide what goes in your body. Now, the examples they use are things like, well, we can decide what you wear, or we can decide what you say about our intellectual property. You can't go against our contract and things like that. But the truth of the matter is that that has nothing to do with what goes in your body. So the arguments they use, it's like a bait and switch, and they use that, but they never really answer the question. Are you our property? That's essentially what I feel they're saying. You are our property, and we get to decide what we do with you, kind of like an overlord.
Jennifer, I coined the phrase corporate slaves. You know, they want employees to be corporate slaves. And there is a huge difference between what you wear and taking a dangerous forced vaccine. What is the state of the bill now? Because in my introduction of you, I pointed out that there's no way that this should not pass with a Republican House, Senate, and governor. However, the Chamber of Commerce, the American Hospital Association, and the entire State House is bought and paid for by the healthcare industry, as well as the Ohio Supreme Court, bought and paid for by healthcare industry money. So where's the state of the bill? Where is it right now?
So the speaker stated yesterday that our hearing yesterday would be done, and then we would pause, because obviously none of the people listening to this are losing their jobs between now and September 4th, right? Or 14th there. I mean, because no one's struggling about losing their jobs right now, right? So we're going to take a pause. So that puts us in a position where, you know, I have other tools that I can use. One of them is a discharge petition. What that does is it requires all the people in the House to go on record and say, do you support the freedom of Ohioans or don't you? You know, the House doesn't like that. Why? You know, all of our votes are like Groundhog Day. If a bill comes to the floor, I assure you, Eric, it's going to pass. You see, a discharge petition, what that does in the House is it puts everybody on the hot seat. You know, every bill that we pass in Ohio by Ohio law requires 90 days. So even if this bill passed today, it'd be 90 days before the bill, unless we put an emergency clause in it.
Jennifer, one of the things that I've believe, and it's in the 6 lawsuits of the 6 major healthcare systems that we filed 2 days ago, is this. There is, without any shadow of a doubt, not a civil conspiracy. I think it's a criminal conspiracy between the federal government, state government, and the healthcare systems. And what you just pointed out is further proof of that. Because when they say we're going to pause this, they know that all of the major healthcare systems around the state of Ohio, and we're not done suing. We're going to sue Kettering. We're going to sue Premier. We're going to sue Ohio, Dayton, all of them. Is they know that these places have said, we want you to get the 2-shot. September 1st is the deadline for shot number 1. October 1st is dead shot. So them wanting to pause, they know about the September 1st deadline.
So as a representative, I have to ask you, Eric, what kind of representative do you want? Do you want someone who just sits back and waits while you suffer? You know, as a combat veteran, and I was just a flight nurse. I didn't shoot anybody, you know, but I just can't sit. I feel like we're watching freedom die right before our eyes, Eric. And that's why I appreciate that you're fighting this battle.
Well,
I need support. I need the people to keep standing. I need the pressure to be placed on all the leadership. You know, I've heard that even if this bill does get out of the House, it won't get a vote in the Senate. So, you know, the people must stand. And I'm fearful that we're going to have a healthcare crisis because I've been on the picket lines, the protest lines with our healthcare workers. I am a healthcare worker. And, you know, they've been forced, Eric, because you well know, I know you've seen this in your, in all the comments that you've seen. Our healthcare workers on the front end were required to work with COVID symptoms as long as they didn't have a fever. And now all of a sudden, even though they jumped in to the actual battle in the front end, now all of a sudden, because they don't want to get a shot on the back end, they're criminals. They don't care about their patients. Who cared about them? Did they walk off the job when none of us knew? Some people thought it was a biological weapon and all those kinds of things. And maybe it was this freaky virus. Did our healthcare workers walk off the job then? They didn't. And so now it's our job to stand for them, you know?
Well, to answer your question about what kind of a state rep people want, they want one like you, Jennifer. So keep fighting. You know, I say there's an old quote about some goals are so worthy that it's glorious even to fail. In other words, I hope you succeed. I hope we succeed with the litigation. But regardless of what the outcome is, we have to fight. For example, following up what you just said, I have reviewed, perused, and read, short and long, 10,000 emails in the last 2 weeks from healthcare workers inside. And what they say is they're lying about their COVID numbers. They're not telling the truth about their vaccinated breakthroughs. They're manipulating information. It's just off the chart what's going on. You know, they're telling their physician groups, do not give a medical exemption no matter what. I mean, it is the corruption scandal of the century, maybe in United States American history. And it certainly is in the tri-state and the Cincinnati area. We sent out a press release to all the local news. The Enquirer did it, 19 covered it. 5, 12, and 9 did not even report the story of the 6 largest healthcare systems and what it's all about. I mean, but it is scary. You know, you probably know because you watch my show about the American Communist 10. It's not hyperbole. It's true. The national media, the local media, social media, the Democratic Party, all state swamps, Hollywood, the music industry, the national sports industry, corporate America, and they lied to us. The history of corporate America, pharmaceutical, hospital, healthcare, lying to us, the politicians, is rampant. But we're all supposed to take this facts. Oh, by the way, I want to ask you this because I'm sure you know. Explain as a healthcare worker how the FDA did not approve the Pfizer drug yesterday.
Well, you're kind of putting me on the spot with that one because I was part of research, and the only thing that I can say is this, from my perspective. How do you approve a drug in a year? How do you know that you got the data you needed when we have breakthrough infections, which we know that healthcare workers that have been vaccinated are still transmitting the Delta variant, when it usually takes 3 to 5 years to approve any drug before we enter it into market? You know, I don't know. I don't know that answer. I really don't.
Jennifer, let's close with this. I'm going to give you a chance to say any final words you want to say, but I'm going to give you a talk. I joke all the time. I might be the Bulldog and I might be a tough guy, but even I need encouragement sometimes and I need a hug. But I want you to know, Jennifer, do what I do. Most people can't do this, but I know you can because you're strong and tough. When you get kicked and you get knocked down a little bit, waller in it for a little bit, an hour, maybe 24 hours, but then take action. By taking action, you feel better, and it's like therapy. So I know you feel beaten down about yesterday's hearing. You know, waller in it for a little bit, and then just keep on fighting. So any final words? That's my words of encouragement to you. Any final words?
I would say to you, Eric, as Ohio goes, so goes the nation. We say that about elections. I'm telling you that in this issue, the last thing that I would say is that old adage, but it really is true in this case. All it takes for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do nothing. And some of them, the ones that are afraid to stand, we must stand. We have to stand now, or we may regret not standing later.
I agree.
This is a big battle.
And to follow up on that, there's 66,000 employees of the 6 major tri-state healthcare systems, and they said 40% aren't vaccinated. If every healthcare worker sticks to their guns, they cannot fire. I think they're bluffing, Jeff. I think it's a total bluff that they can't discharge and replace 40% of their workforce. The healthcare system collapses. So if everybody sticks to their guns, we'll win.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. And not only that, Eric, the heroes on the front end become the heroes on the back end for all workers.
I agree.
Because if healthcare falls, all industry will fall.
I agree.
If healthcare stands, they stand for all industry. So that's your metal worker, that's your doctors, that's your nurses, that's any industry that's out there that is fighting or silently struggling. They stand and become the heroes on the front end in the beginning of COVID and on the back end for all workers in Ohio. And I thank you.
Well stated. Thank you, Jennifer. So how do you like those apples? Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how hard we have to fight to protect ourselves from the tyranny of our own, against our own Bill of Rights? That's where we are as a country. It's scary stuff. I give the highest honor that I can bestow upon Jennifer Gross. That is Oracle status. Good job, Jennifer Gross. Keep up the fight. Keep up the battle. Every dog has their day. May Ohio citizens have their day in the fight against these mandates.